Hey y'all, and welcome to episode 42 of the Crazy Sock Lady podcast. My name is Kay, and this is my podcast all about my knitting adventures here in Havelock, North Carolina, where I live with my husband, our 2 sons, and our 2 dogs. Today is March 21st, and it's about a little after 10 here in the morning. Another dreary day here in Havelock. I feel like that's been the theme the past couple of episodes. It's just been a dreary day every time I've recorded. I will miss, it's not raining at the moment, but I will miss these rainy, dreary kind of days when we get in Arizona. But I must say, I am looking forward to the Arizona sunshine. Definitely looking forward to that. If you are new to the podcast, you probably don't know that we are moving to Arizona. We have about 10 and a half weeks, I think, until we move. So that's pretty exciting. We're moving to right outside the Phoenix area. Not exactly sure what area yet. It'll depend on housing, but right outside the Phoenix area is where we are moving to next for my husband's job. So if you are new to the podcast, thank you so much for stopping and checking it out. I hope that you enjoy it. If you do, be sure to subscribe and give a thumbs up. It just helps get the episode out there in recommended areas for anyone that might find it interesting. And if you're a returning viewer, thank you so much for stopping by again. I so enjoy getting to spend a little bit of time with you guys every episode. So today we have quite a few things to chat about. I have so much to show you guys. I have a couple of finished objects, which is completely insane. I feel like I have just been kind of throwing myself into my knitting. Things are going to get a little bit stressful here coming up, so with the move and everything, so I just, to kind of keep myself from getting too anxious about it maybe, I don't know, I've just been throwing myself into my knitting completely, and I'm getting so much done, and I'm so excited to share it with you guys today. Just got some coffee today in my New York You Were Here mug. And first, I should probably say where you can find me. You can find me on Instagram and Ravelry as The Crazy Sock Lady. And we do have a group for the podcast. It is on Ravelry. If you search in the groups tab for Crazy Sock Lady Podcast, you will find it there. That's where you're going to find any information about knit-alongs, giveaways, swap-a-swaps, everything that has to do with the podcast. You can find it over there. Down below in the down bar, there are links to everywhere that you can find me. For the Ravelry group, there's also show notes down below, as well as times listed if you choose to skip ahead to a certain portion of the podcast. Before I forget, the mannequin back here is wearing my cozy shallanket, and this is a pattern by Mina Phillip, and I knit that out of Malabrigo yarns. And there is a project page. I cannot remember the colorway name, so if you're interested in the colors that I used, you can head over and look at the projects page, and all that'll be listed there. And then what I'm wearing my Old Romance cardigan by Joji Locatelli. This was my Rhinebeck sweater last year, and I knit this out of Malabrigo yarn as well. This was Malabrigo sock, and that is a worsted. I cannot remember what the Malabrigo worsted. Malabrigo Rios, I think. But this was Malabrigo sock in the ochre and pearl colorways. And I love this cardigan. It's a little chilly out today. It's only supposed to be in the 40s, so I thought it was just the perfect day to kind of cozy up in my Old Romance and get to wear it a couple more times before the weather starts to warm up. Stand up so you can get a look at it. And I just love this cardigan. So let's run through quickly what all is going on in the Ravelry group. Just a little reminder for everybody. We have these swapless swaps going on. There are 2 open right now. And for these, if you're new and you have never participated in them before, what you get are 10 40-yard minis, which is about 10 gram minis. And the prices for those range from $35 to $45, just depending on where you are located and where they're shipping to. So the first one is Muddled Collars. That's the yarn dyer, and the money for that is due April 15th. There are 16 spots available. There's Polka Dot Creek due May 15th, and there are 20 spots available for that one. So there's links down below for those threads, and if you head over, it'll have all the information about pricing, how to sign up. There are pictures, just samples of the dyer's work, so you can kind of see if it's something that you would like. And knit-alongs. We have quite a few knit-alongs going on in the group right now. It's a little crazy over there. So to remind you guys about what's going on and what's coming to a close soon, we have the Selfish Cowl, and this ends March 31st. So you have just a little bit of time to get those objects finished, or if you're a fairly quick knitter, you could get a pair of socks finished. This knit-along is anything that you make for yourself. So be sure to get those entered by March 31st, and we will draw for winners on the next episode. We have the Sock Crazy Cowl for 2018, and this is a year-long sock knit-along for any socks that you make. Baby socks don't count for this, but 1 year and up does count. So any socks that you make for your children, your husband, gifts, yourself, any socks, get those entered. We'll do the first drawing. We do those every 3 months. So the first drawing for this year will happen next episode. We have the bag make along, and I am co-hosting this with Amber from Maker's Haven. I have chatter and FO threads in my group that you can enter your objects into over there. Amber does not have chatter and FO threads in her group. I think I had said before that she did, but she does not. She is just doing drawing from Instagram. So make sure that if you post on Instagram about your bag, you use the hashtag bag make along. And that knit along ends April 30th. And then we also have the Crazy Sock Lady Designs make along, and this is for any of my patterns, for those finished objects from my patterns. You can get those entered, and then we will do drawings throughout the year for this one. Last thing for the Ravelry group, I want to let you guys know I'm going to be opening up a Q&A thread. So if you have any questions about knitting, life within reason, of course, anything at all, head over and put it in the thread. I'll either answer it there on the thread or on the episode after you ask the question. All right, it is time for finished objects. So for finished objects and works in progress, I do always have projects pages listed for those. So if you head over, there's going to be links down below for everything. Go ahead and head over if I forget to mention something or you have questions. I try to do notes, make sure the yarn's listed, all of that. But if something's missing and you still have a question, just feel free to send me a message on Instagram or Ravelry or down below in the comments. I'm always happy to answer your guys' questions. First finished object that I'm going to show you guys, well, it's actually a stack of finished objects. So these are for the Yarn Hoarder Dishcloth Challenge. This is just something that Amber of Yarn Hoarder is doing on Instagram. There's no Ravelry group or thread or anything like that for it. You're just supposed to, the idea is to make one dishcloth a week or however many you want to make, and post it on Instagram using the hashtag. So these are from the last 2 weeks, and I actually don't even know. I think I've only used the hashtag once. I'm just having fun making dishcloths. So like I said, these are from the last 2 weeks. I did 2 the week before last and 3 last week. And I won't go into a crazy amount of detail for these every single episode because I feel like that would just be repeating myself a lot, because I do want to try to do this throughout the year. But I will just show you guys the 2 patterns that I used these past 2 weeks for these. So I do have a projects page on Ravelry for the dishcloth challenge, but I'm not doing a project page for every single dishcloth. So the way I'm doing it is, if you have questions about a pattern that I used, all the patterns are listed on the projects page, and then I will put a link down below for those as well. But this one was called Roman Rose, and these are fairly small dishcloths. I don't know if I talked about this last time, but these are 1 ounce dishcloths. Typically the sugar and cream or anything like that is 2 ounces. So the idea is 1 ounce, you can get 2 dishcloths out of one of these. This is actually what I'm going to be using today, because Wednesdays are kind of my dishcloth day. So this one was Roman Rose. And for all of these, I'm using a US 6 4mm. So that's that one. And then this one was called Go Round the Barn. But as you can see, it's basically just a mitered square. So that's the 2 patterns that I did. I did this one the week before last and then this one last week. 2 of these. And I actually did 3 of these. That's my dishcloths that I did the past 2 weeks. And I started one this morning. I sat down to have my first cup of coffee and I watched a bit of the Hey Sister podcast. They have a new episode out. And I started this. And this is a corner to corner. What was the name of this one? I don't think I wrote it down, but I'll put a link down below. There's a grandma's favorite dishcloth. There are a ton of these. This one does not have holes, and it is just one of the 1 ounce dishcloths. So I like a smaller dishcloth. I don't like a really huge dishcloth, and I like that I can get 2 out of one of those. So I'm really enjoying doing the 1 ounce dishcloths at the moment. Next finished object are my March socks. So I'm participating in the Desert Vista Dye Works year-long knit-along for her socks. You knit 1 pair of socks a month using her yarn. So these were my March socks. And the colorway is called Little Women. So I love these. They ended up, the stripes go the opposite direction so they don't match, and I did not intend for that to happen. I couldn't wind this on my Swift, my ball winder, because it was kind of tangled, so I ended up having to take it off and kind of work the tangle out. And when I did that, I ended up with 2 separate balls, and I did not intend for them to go in opposite directions, but it doesn't bother me. I do not care if they match perfectly. At the moment, I'm feeling kind of over having them match perfectly because it's just kind of a pain sometimes. So that's that. And I did an afterthought heel using the Curvy Wurby YouTube tutorial. That's how I learned to do that. And I used a US 1 2.25 millimeter. That's what I use for all of my socks, unless I say something different. And these were for me, so I did 64 stitches. So I'm loving these. And what I'm doing with these, I have a tote behind my knitting chair that I'm putting my dishcloths in when I finish them, and I'm putting my Desert Vista Dye Works socks in. So eventually I will get a little box for the box of socks knit along, and that will be what my Desert Vista Dye Works socks are for. So the past couple of months, when I've done these, it's been like a mad rush to get them finished by the deadline, the end of the month. But these I did in tandem. So since I had 2 balls, I was going to try to do them 2 at a time, but I didn't have a 40-inch cable. And I know from experience, a 32-inch just is not long enough for me to do 2 at a time. I just prefer a longer cable. So I didn't have a 40-inch that I could use, so I thought I would just do them in tandem. So I used my DPN's Knitter's Pride carbons and worked them up. I did the cuff on one, the cuff on the other, 10 rows on one, 10 on the other, like that throughout the whole sock. And I really think that helped get them done faster. I never really have suffered from second sock syndrome. I think I've only ever had 1 sock sit for longer than a month. I want to wear them, so I get them done fairly quickly. But with these, I think it just helped me get it done faster to do it in tandem, because it isn't really that I suffer from second sock syndrome. It's just doing one and then doing the other throughout the month. I don't know. I mean, it just seemed to go faster. So I think going forward with this knit along, I'll always be doing them in tandem or 2 at a time. It just felt great this month to have those done a little bit earlier and to not be finishing them on the last day of the month. Last finished object that I have to show you is like the longest languishing whip I have ever had. Ever. This had been on my needles since September. That's insane. So this is my Road to Rhinebeck shawl. And I started this in September when it was a mystery knit along, and I never finished it. It just sat. I think I knew I wasn't going to get it done by Rhinebeck. And like I talked about before, it was supposed to be for me, and I ended up not being crazy about these 2 collars together. So my motivation was just lacking. It had nothing to do with the pattern because, I mean, look at that. This is a gorgeous pattern. And there are different stitch patterns in all 3 of these sections. So it definitely keeps you interested. And I should probably say this is a pattern by Mina Phillip. And I did say the name. It is the Road to Rhinebeck shawl. And it's pretty big. It has not been blocked. There are still ends, but they are woven in. It's just not been blocked. So this I knit out of Knit Picks Swish DK in the eggplant and Marina colorways. So the reason this has not been blocked, I know I'm saying it's a finished object, but that's part of finishing it, I guess, is blocking it. But this is going to be a gift from my sister Cassie for Christmas this year. So I'm thinking with our move and everything, it doesn't make sense to block it right now and then pack it up. And then when I take it out and send it to her for Christmas this year, it'll probably need blocked again. So I'm just gonna store it for now. And then when it gets close to time to ship it out, I'll take it out and I'll block it real nice and it'll be ready to go for her. But yeah, I love this. Let's get the colors are not showing accurate. It's just such a dreary day. And these colors are insanely hard to photograph, period. They just do not show accurately. It's gorgeous. The different stitch patterns that go throughout. Woo. I love it. So yeah, it's done finally, and big too. It's longer than my wingspan for sure. So nice big shawl. I think she will love it. She loves the colors because I had sent her a picture before when I wasn't sure if I was liking the collars together, and she loved it. So that's when I knew, like, okay, that's for you. That's yours. All right, let's turn my notes around and it's time for works in progress. So I've got to grab a work in progress off the chair right behind the camera. I'm going to show you guys this first and then go lay it back over there because I'm so afraid that it's going to get wrinkles or creases in it before I get it finished. So I have all of the pieces to my insouciant tee done. They're done. It's just not put together. It's been blocked. So here are the sleeves. There are 2. And this pattern insouciant is by Julie Hoover, and the yarn that I used is Anzula Luxury Fibers in the Wash My Lace base, which is 100% superwash merino, and the color is country green. So here are the sleeves. Then I have the front and the back pieces. So they basically, they're very similar, but the front has the curved neckline. And then what I'll do is seam it all together, and then you come back and you pick up around the neckline and knit, I can't remember how many rows, but it makes a rolled neckline. So it is very close to being done. I love the drape of this fabric. It's got nice ribbing on the bottom that'll be a split. You won't seam the ribbing together. So you'll have kind of a split hem along the bottom, which I think will be really nice. So I'm excited to, I think today, after I'm done recording and get everything cleaned up here, I'm going to seam these together. I think it's going to take a little while, but it'll definitely be worth it. And I already want to make another one because I think, I mean, I could try it on and hate how it fits, but I think I'm going to love it. So for this, I knit this on my Likey needles, Licka needles, however you say that, on a US 8 5mm, and this is lace weight held double is how this tee is worked up. The drape's great, the thickness of the fabric is great. It's definitely something I'm gonna have to wear a tank top under, which is completely fine. I do think it'll be great for Arizona, probably not in the middle of summer Arizona. It'll still be a little warm there, but I think I would love to try a tee or a tank in like a linen or a cotton, because I definitely think that would be good for middle of summer Arizona. But this will probably be more for spring. There isn't much of a spring or fall. It's all just hot and then a little bit cooler, a little less hot in the winter. But I think this will be great for cooler days in the winter months. So I'm excited. It'll be perfect for spring here, I think. So I'm excited to get that done. I'm going to go lay it back over the edge of the chair because, like I said, I don't want to lay it down here and have it get all wrinkled up. All right, so that is back draped over the edge of the chair, the back of the chair. And now let's see, what are we going to talk about next? I'll show you some socks I'm making for my dad. So I have these socks in a bag from Daisy Girl and Company. I love this bag. And I've got David Tennant just hanging out here. I don't know why. When I got this bag out, I saw him and I was like, oh, I forgot I had you. Let's put you on here. So my dad was here visiting recently, not this past weekend, but the weekend before last. And while he was here, I had on some hand knit socks. And I can't remember how we got in the conversation, but he mentioned that he would wear hand knit socks if I made him some. So all right, what do? You cast your dad on some socks. That's what you do. So I picked out Patton's Croy. What is the colorway name? In the blue brown marl. There's the tag. As you can see, I got this on clearance a while back for $3.59 a skein, because they are 50-gram skeins. So that's what it looks like. And I'm doing these 2 at a time. I had ordered the March socks. I had thought about doing them 2 at a time, didn't have a long enough cable. So I ordered a Chow 40-inch cable. It's a US 1, 2.25 millimeter. And I got it right before I was going to start these. So I thought, I'm just gonna go ahead and do these 2 at a time. So here they both are. They do not match. I do not care. I know my dad is not going to care. So I just started them and I'm knitting them up. So there they are. I'm about 30 rows into the leg. For these, I cast on 60 stitches. I would normally, like for myself, for Eric, for my dad, I would have done 64 stitches. But the Patton's Croy is a little bit of a plumper yarn when you knit it up. So I thought, I started them with 64 and I was maybe like right here. Yeah, I was probably about right there. And they were just looking so big. So I ripped them both out and started them again with 60 stitches, and that's much better. So I'm really happy with how these are turning out. I love Patton's Croy yarn. It's such a sturdy yarn and I love their colorways. So I think these are going to be perfect because he's been having some trouble with his feet, and he works and he's on his feet all day long. He works at an aluminum plant. So this will be great. He mentioned that he thought they would be some extra cushion for his feet in his work boots. And I agree. I think these will be perfect. So I can't wait to get these done and send these off to him. The idea is I'm going to send these off with his birthday present. He's got a birthday coming up in April. So hoping to have these done hopefully within the first week of April, and then I can get these sent out to him. And I've just got a needle cozy here, and I don't even remember who this is from, and it doesn't have a tag. But I did have someone ask on a recent episode what I use these for, because they had seen me putting it on and off my needles. But it's just to kind of hold your knitting so it doesn't fly off the end of your needles. And that's how I do it. I'm doing it with 2 at a time. I don't know. It's working. It's holding it on there and nothing has fallen off yet. Next work in progress I'll show you is my bag for the bag make along. And this is in a bag by Amber of Maker's Haven. And I'm using Amber's yarn. And this is a cotton blend that she used to carry in her shop. The pattern I'm using is called Sock Star. And that is where I'm at. It's still, pretty bunched up on the needles, so it'll be a little bit wider, but it is definitely big enough for, try not to drop stitches, a sock project. So that's got the cake of yarn down in there. So that's what I'm thinking I'm going to use this for, is one at a time socks. So I'm about, I can't remember, I haven't worked on this since last week, but I think I'm about to where I'm going to start doing like a casing for the drawstring. So it's going to be a pretty small bag. I mean, it still has a little ways to go, but it's going to be fairly small. So not too much to say about that. I'm doing this on my Hiya Sharp Interchangeables, a US 2.75 millimeter needles. So that's where I'm at with my bag, and I think I'll definitely get it done by the end of April, because like I said, I'm pretty close to the top already. It's not a very long bag. So my last work in progress to show you, I have in my bag from Donna of In a Pickle Knitting. One of my favorite bags. I love this blue and white floral. So in here I have my Shoe Suey Shrug that I've been dying to cast on, and I just cast on yesterday, so there really isn't that much to show yet. But we're gonna go ahead and talk about it real quick. So this came across my radar. I think I first saw Meg of Bad Wolf Girl Sits and Knits podcast talking about it, and she's doing a knit along with Lofty Loops podcast, Crafty Chat podcast, and Girls in the Yarn Cafe podcast. So I started mine yesterday. I've been wanting to start it for a while. I ordered the yarn a while back. I was just trying to get the tee done, and now that, I mean, I still need to put it together, so it's not completely finished. But when I had it blocking yesterday, I was like, I'm going ahead and starting my shrug. I cannot wait another day. I had to start it. So here's a picture. It's in black and white, so not that great of a picture, but it's like a shawl with sleeves. I'm gonna wear this all the time. I just know it, even in Arizona, because it'll be cold in the air conditioning. The yarn that I'm using is by Yarn Cafe Creations on her full-bodied fingering weight base, which is a 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon. This is the Thorn colorway, and this is smoky gray. So I'm not a huge pink person normally. For some reason lately, I don't know who I am, but I'm loving pink, and I cannot get enough of this, especially with this gray. They are just perfect together. So those are the yarns that I'm using. And like I said, I just started it yesterday, so I don't have a ton of progress at all. Only worked on it for maybe an hour yesterday before the kids got home. And this is absolutely not a project that you work on when the kids are home. No. This is a project you work on during the day when the husband and the kids are at school. Or, well, the husband's at work, but when they're not home. That's what this is. So this is how far I am. Like I said, not far at all. You're probably not really seeing it that well. But yeah, that's where I'm at so far. So like I said, this is definitely not a work on at knit group or work on while watching TV or chatting project for me anyways. This, I mean, obviously the beginning of anything you have to pay more attention to, but I just think throughout this whole thing it's going to be a work on when I'm home by myself type of project, because so far I've had to follow each row as I'm doing it. I had to pause the TV. I was watching Scandal and I had to pause that. There was no watching TV while I was doing it or anything. It's very well written out, very easy to understand, but it is not mindless. I will say that. For me anyways, like I said, there could be somebody who's so proficient in their brioche, they're like, I got this. Not me. Nope, not me. So that's where I'm at so far. I definitely think the farther I've gotten along, the more I'm getting it, but I don't think it'll ever be a mindless knit for me. But I'm gonna love it. I'm absolutely gonna love it. So yeah, it's pretty hard to see, isn't it? But the needles I'm using are my Hiya Sharp Interchangeables, a US 6 4mm. And right now I just have it on a 24-inch cord. My 16-inch cord is on the bag, or I probably would have put it on that to start and then just switched as it got bigger. But I've got it on a 24-inch cord right now. and I'm excited to get to work on this a little bit more. I was sad that I had to put it up last night, but I just knew it was better to put it up than make a mistake and have to try to rip that back and fix it. So that is it for works in progress. I do have a Scrappy project to show you guys. I've been trying to show you one Scrappy project a week. So I'm going to show you what I focused on this past Sunday. I got a few squares added to my cozy memories. And I'll try to kind of hold it up so you can see. It's definitely getting bigger. And I marked the squares that I added. So the pattern that I use for this is the Coziest Memory by Kemper Ray. And I do a 40 stitch square, so 20 on each side, on a 2.5 millimeter needle. So I put markers on everything I've added since the last time that you saw it. So I can't remember what all of these are, but I'll show you the ones that I've added since then. So I added those two, that one, this one. This is the Healing colorway by Amy of Noble Character Crafts. That was from Wyatt's socks. Sorry for the ends. I did weave a bunch of ends in on Sunday too. This was from Wyatt's last pair of socks that I finished for him. And this was from my Rhinebeck is Calling fingerless mitts, the very first pair of them that I made, I think. Yeah, those are the ones that I've added since the last time I showed it to you guys, the ones with markers. And I did weave in a bunch of ends. Just all the squares that are around the edge still have their ends. So there's the back of it. Everything's woven in except for those outside squares. And if you're new, you may not even know about Scrappy Sunday. So I have been trying to set Sundays aside to get some work done on my Scrappy projects. So if you're on Instagram and you want to join along in that, be sure to use the hashtag Scrappy Sunday and tag me if you want in your post, because I love seeing everybody's Scrappy projects. I absolutely love it. It makes me want to cast on all of the Scrappy things. I just love Scrappy projects. So I only have one thing to show you that I got in the mail. That's kind of insane. Definitely different from the normal, but I'm trying to be good because Maryland Sheep and Wool is coming up, which we'll talk about in Chatter. But this is what I received in the mail. I ordered this from Amber of Maker's Haven, and this is her Easter egg hunt mini collection. So there are 5 minis, and it's supposed to look like an Easter basket. It's so cute. So these are on her soft sock, which is a 75-25 superwash merino nylon blend. And then she has some chocolates back in there too, which I completely forgot were in there until I picked this up to show you guys. I'm gonna have to eat those, but yes, I think this is so gorgeous. You guys know I love Amber's yarn, but I just adore these. I really love this one right here. So I'm not sure what I'm gonna do with these yet. If they'll just be used for Scrappy projects or if maybe I'll do a Scrappy pair of socks. I have no idea. So that pretty much wraps up knitting content. Now just a little bit of chatter, not too much, but I did want to mention that the Carolina Fiber Fest is this weekend. I had talked about going, but as of today, I'm not going to be going. So sorry, but Eric's been gone for 2 weeks and he's only home for 3 weeks and he's actually not feeling good. He's got a little bit of cold. Wyatt's got a little bit of a cold. So I think we're just gonna lay low this weekend, hang out, just enjoy spending some time together, because it seems like things have just been so crazy with him being out in Arizona and being here. And then in May, I'm gonna be going to the Maryland Sheep and Wool Festival, so I'll be gone for that weekend. So I think we're just gonna hang out this weekend. Maybe if they start feeling better, I can talk them into driving up with me on Saturday. But as of this moment, I'm not planning on going to that. But I will be at the Maryland Sheep and Wool Festival, which is the first weekend in May. Yes, we will be going up May 4th and then coming home May 6th. So I'll be at Needles Up on Friday, and then Saturday I'll be at Maryland Sheep and Wool. And there is going to be a podcaster meetup. I just looked yesterday because there is a Ravelry group for Maryland Sheep and Wool, and there's a thread in there that has information on the podcaster meetup. I'll post it right here on the screen, the time and location, and then I'll try to remember to put a link down below, the link for the Maryland Sheep and Wool Ravelry group that has all the information, but I cannot remember the time. But I'll be at the podcaster meetup, and I hope if I see any of you guys, I hope to see lots of you, Friday and Saturday, come up and say hi. I'll have my little Crazy Sock Lady pins if you want a pin. But I'm really excited about Maryland Sheep and Wool. That'll be my last festival that I get to go to before we move, so that's going to be a lot of fun. That's really kind of all that's going on. My dad and my sister were here the weekend before last, so it was really great to get to visit with them. Eric got home the weekend before last, so it's great to have him home for a couple more weeks. And he's got a few more trips out to Arizona before we move out there. But it's coming up so fast. It seems like we had so long until our move, and now it's like, no, we have April and May. Like, March is basically over. We have April and May. That's it. It's coming up on us so quickly. But I think that kind of brings everything to a close for this week's episode. Chloe agrees. Did you guys hear that little groan there? She agrees, and she would like me to stop talking now. So I am going to get everything cleaned up and go seam together my Ensue C&T. I cannot wait. Got to seam it together, and then I don't know that today will be the day I pick up the stitches and knit the little rolled neckband. I might save that for tomorrow, but I definitely want to have it seamed together today. That's the goal. I hope that you guys enjoyed today's episode. It was so great to get to spend a little bit of time with y'all, and I will see you again in a few weeks for the next episode. Until then, happy knitting. Bye.